Hey, what's up you guys? Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Mackie. It's literally always so weird doing that without Amanda, but anyway, if you follow Amanda and I, you might have seen a post on our channel about me getting mental help. I've been in a treatment program pretty much. After that, I've been getting a lot of questions basically asking what exactly happened to me, and a lot of you guys are in the same boat that I'm in with the mental health stuff. So I decided to make a video and pretty much just explain this once of what's going on, what I'm doing, and what happened to me to get me here. So hopefully you don't feel as alone, because that's what a lot of you are saying, that you appreciate me coming out and saying this stuff, because like I said, a lot of you struggle with the same thing. So it helps you knowing that I'm going through it too. And I get it, because I'm the same way. Seeing everyone saying that they're going through it too helps me not feel so crazy. So I decided to make a video telling you guys about my near-death experience, talk about all the gory details of it. I'm just gonna start at the beginning. So looking back now, I've probably had anxiety like my whole life, but I always thought it was stress growing up as a kid. And sometimes my house wasn't the most calm household, and I dealt with a lot of stuff growing up. I always had ADHD also, which caused a lot of stress and anxiety all through elementary school, middle school, all of that, because I couldn't do homework. I was doing terrible in school in general. It was stressful from the beginning. And so I carried on. I'd say when I was 11 is when everything started to get bad, and that's when I got a parasitic infection in a third world country, and that triggered my autoimmune. From that point, everything really started going downhill, and I was doing worse in school. I was dealing with all these health conditions that were popping up and not knowing what was going on. And I'm just going through all this part really fast because there's nothing really crazy notable. So high school comes around. I'm 14 and my stomach issues are getting really bad at this point, and I go get tested, blah, blah, blah. I'm having weird symptoms. All the tests are coming back negative. And long story short, I got diagnosed with Crohn's disease literally when I was 17, but it was that all along. I also got diagnosed, 14 is when I got diagnosed with Graves' disease, which is hyperactive thyroid autoimmune disease. All through this, I still was having the stress about school and basically having to fit every morning. Even freshman year, I remember, was probably the worst, of having to fit every single day, not wanting to go, getting all F's, doing terribly, and not being able to focus. And so I wanted to drop out. I couldn't. Now on to the near-death experience that we've all been waiting for. This was only a few years ago. I went to get stem cells from a doctor, and I didn't know this doctor personally. My mom didn't know this doctor personally, but another one of my natural doctors had recommended this guy because he was a lot cheaper than my other doctor was going to do it for. So, looking for a bargain, we went to him. From the second we pulled up, both me and my mom both say now that we had a bad feeling and both thought we shouldn't do this, but we did. We go in. He's going on about how there's no side effects, how it's so easy, there's no downtime, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, all right, sounds great. He puts the needle in my arm, injects the stem cells, and one thing about me, I always watch, no matter what it is, blood draw, IV, whatever. I always have to stare at the needle the entire time it's in my arm. I do not know why. I like gory things, but like apart from that, I just like to know what's going on. I don't like to be surprised, so I just watch the entire thing. I've been dealing with health issues for 7 or 8 years at this point. Like, I have gotten an uncountable amount of needles in my arm. I'm staring at it. He pushes it in. I remember still looking at it. Like 30 seconds goes by. My mom and the doctor are talking. I look up and my mom's directly across from me, and our eyes meet, and her face just goes like this. And literally the second she started doing that, I started seeing little stars everywhere. Like, you know like the static on the TV, like the old TV screens that would go gray with all the static everywhere. That is what I saw everywhere. And I was looking at it, and that's when I feel everything start to tighten around my throat. The doctor and her both jump up at the same time, and I start basically gasping for air. It felt like, the only way I can describe it, like I can't even describe it, but what it felt like was every single blood vessel in my body, every capillary, every ounce of me inside my skin was expanding. It was going to explode. Like, it literally, I thought my veins were going to shoot out of my neck. I thought my eyeballs were physically going to pop out of my head. It just felt like so much pressure everywhere. It was excruciating pain, burning hot, and I just barely remember them taking me over to the table and laying me down immediately and flipping the table kind of like tilted up. I don't know why the doctor did that, but I just remember gasping for air. My throat was like completely, like almost closed at this point, and I just remember saying, "Call 911." And the doctor, everyone's around me, and the doctor literally holds me down and says, "No, no, no one call 911." And my mom's saying, "Call 911." He's saying, "No, don't call 911." And I'm like, what the fuck? Like, I'm literally dying. Like, I'm going to die. And my vision is, this part I've never told anyone this part, because this is what makes it way too real for me. And I'm able to talk about it right now because, like, whenever I have to talk about anything revolving around this experience, it's like my face is here, my eyes are here, but it's like I'm back here. Like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's like I'm not the one talking about this. It's like a block. Like, everything's turned off. And so this part I've never told anyone because this makes it too real and too scary and just terrifying. And so for a moment when I literally was like, all right, I'm dying, my vision was going black. It eventually got all the way black, and I see like this misty white cloudish thing, and it starts at the same time it's growing more. At the same time as it's getting bigger, it's getting more dense and solid white. And by the end, it was so bright white that it felt like my eyes were literally burning looking at it. In that moment, it all like sucks back up, sucks away, and I'm back in the doctor's office, and the doctor has a needle in my arm injecting something else. I guess he had injected stuff for an allergic reaction. I don't know, but I do know from that point, he kept taking the same needle, refilling it with stuff, and putting it back in the arm. He'd take it out, put it back in. On the third round of him injecting the stuff back to back, my throat started loosening again, but the world's most excruciating pain I have ever been in to this very day, and I have been in a lot of bad pain. The most excruciating pain came on suddenly in my lower stomach and lower back and completely wrapped around, and instantly I was screaming in pain, writhing. From that point, he runs, gets more medicine. To this day, still don't know what it was. He said it was a pain medicine, but I've been in the hospital a lot for my diseases, and they always give morphine and dilated, if you know what that is. It's pretty gnarly stuff. And whatever he gave me, it was not that. It was not like any pain medicine I've ever had before, because this is another part that adds into the trauma. When he started injecting it, it kept making me black out, like go in and out of consciousness. So I remember laying there in the fetal position on the table and my eyes closing and then opening them up, and my mom and him would be standing there and I couldn't move at all. And I'd just see their legs and my eyes would close again, and then they'd open and they'd be somewhere else talking about something else. And every time the room kept getting darker and darker and darker, until eventually I don't know what he was giving me, but he kept giving it to me, and it was just completely like, just not right. I don't know what it was, but I was in there for 6 hours on the table. The practice had closed by this time. It's pitch dark out, and I was still there. And finally, it was at the point where the pain was okay enough where I could leave, and I was no longer about to die. He sent me home with Benadryl and sent me on my way. Now, the reason why my mom freaked out and everyone freaked out when they looked at me was because, no joke, I know people are gonna think this is an exaggeration, but it's not. Like, my face is pink right now because I got sunburnt, but the whites of my eyes were this color. Like, this is no exaggeration. I wish we had a picture of it. The whites of my eyes were literally like this color, and my skin was this color. Okay, so that very inner corner of the eye, my entire whites of my eyes were that red color. That is what it looked like. And I know this because when I got home, it still looked like that. And so my mom told me the reason she gasped was because she looked at me and I was this color, which obviously isn't normal. So I forgot to mention this, but like a month ago, me and my mom were curious one day if this doctor was still practicing. And so we tried looking him up. We found him. And what we found out made everything click. I always wondered, like, what doctor doesn't let someone call 911 if they're having a terrible reaction to something and dying? What doctor does that? And so what we found out was that 4 years prior to me coming in, he had gotten his license suspended because he had critically injured an elderly patient. And 1 month after that, he killed someone. He killed a patient of his. The guy died on his table. This is an urgent care, by the way. Like, there's nothing someone should be going in there and dying from. They took away his license for 4 years. He got it back. Within that same month is when I went to him and got the stem cell treatment. When he was pretty much killing me, he was panicking, thinking, I just got my license back. I can't have something happen again. They can't have them call someone because I will get my license taken away. So he was probably panicking, thinking that if we called 911, he was going to lose his license again. Once we read that, it made so much sense. It pissed me off even more. On the bright side, I didn't feel as crazy because I'm like, okay, this guy did make a mistake. This was his fault and he knew he did something wrong. Also, another thing he did wrong. After this all happened, I went back to my normal doctor and I let him know that I did stem cells with this guy and that I had this reaction. And he asked, this happened with two different people. My first doctor says, did he do the autoimmune protocol? Me and my mom look at each other and go, the autoimmune protocol? And he said, yes. If you have an autoimmune disease, you're specifically supposed to give the person Benadryl before the treatment because this can happen in a rare portion of people, specifically autoimmune, because when all the good healthy cells hit the bad cells, they collide and it basically puts your entire body into shock. And this is what happens. So he was supposed to give me stuff before we did this. He was well aware I had autoimmune diseases. I also called the stem cell manufacturer, talked to the head doctor there. He said the exact same thing. And besides that, we did more research into it. And the batch I got, he was not supposed to give me because it was a bad batch that had been recalled by the company and he was supposed to send it back to them, but he didn't. Instead, he gave it to me. So nothing was in my favor. Over the years after that, I had some more medical experiences go wrong. There was one where I was getting a facet block in my spine. I have damaged nerves and disc bulges in my spine from sports my whole life. So I get these injections, facet blocks. This was the first one I ever got. He injected lidocaine into my spine and the same thing started to happen to me where I could still, my mouth started to get numb. And my vision started to go out, like when you're gonna pass out, how it goes like that. This is when I was walking out of the office. So it's like, it happened 5 minutes after. And suddenly I was like, this is happening again. Like I'm having a reaction to the lidocaine. So I go back in, they have to lay me down, they give me water, they give me granola bars, and it wasn't nearly as severe as the stem cell, but it was an adverse reaction to the lidocaine. So after laying there for a while, they gave me a Benadryl by mouth. I took it and I was okay. But that was just another thing that slowly but surely was adding on to the trauma. Oh, sorry, before this, a year before this, I went to Mexico to a medical retreat. One of the procedures I got, or not procedures, but things I got every day was they'd take your blood out, oxygenate it, and put it back in your body. Well, one of the times they did that. It was at night. I went to sleep. I woke up in the morning. I went to go to the bathroom. I'm alone in the room. My mom's somewhere else in the medical resort. And I go in the bathroom, and it's like when you stand up too fast, how your vision completely goes black for a second, but it always comes back. I was pretty used to that by now, so I wasn't too alarmed. But this time it stayed black for way, way longer. And I'm like, hey, that was a little weird. It goes away. I get to the toilet and I start to get extremely nauseous. So nauseous that I was going to throw up. I felt a tiny bit dizzy too. So I called my mom because I was going to be like, I don't feel good. Something's not right. Come back to the room. I call her. I remember her saying hello. And next thing I know, I'm waking up on the ground. My head is killing me. My neck is killing me. I'm laying in a freaking giant ass puddle of my own urine. And immediately, as I'm opening my eyes, I'm yelling for help. And like I sound drunk because I'm so out of it. But as my eyes are opening, I reach for my phone, grab it, and call her immediately and tell her I passed out. I was passed out for 3.5 minutes. And the reason I know that is because she said hello right when she answered, went black. Right as I was coming to, I called her, and the call log, it was 3.5 minutes in between. So they rushed me down to the medical facility in the resort. I get an IV, and it's just another thing that added on to the trauma. Okay, I forgot to mention this, but it's kind of funny because I asked my mom what she heard when I called her, and she said she answered and didn't, all she heard was like a lot of thumping and rustling around, and she thought that I like butt dialed her, so she just hung up on me. But it was me like falling down. After all these things, there's been other traumatic things where I've just had to stay in the hospital and I wake up in the middle of the night having a panic attack, not knowing where I am. And just what's happened over the years is every single time I get a tiny bit dizzy, if I move my head too fast one direction, I get dizzy. I feel like I'm literally dying again, and I think I'm not where I am. Like it puts me into a panic attack. I can no longer get medical treatments of any type because every time I try a medicine or anything, the second I take it, I think I'm having anaphylactic shock and I'm dying and having a reaction, even though I know I'm not. Like the other day, I got stung by a bee, and for 2 hours, I watched the clock having a panic attack thinking I was having anaphylactic shock, even though I've been stung by bees before my stem cell experience happened and I was fine. Even with new fruits or vegetables or even foods, I will take a bite and be terrified and think I'm having anaphylactic shock. So I can't do any medical treatments because I think I've canceled last minute so many times having panic attacks thinking that I'm gonna die from it, and just it all puts me back to the stem cell thing. A lot of times in the morning, I'm scared to get up out of bed to go to the bathroom even because I'm scared I'm gonna pass out and hit my head and do all these things. And so it's gotten to the point where I can't get better with my health because I'm too scared to even take a freaking supplement that's made out of broccoli, let alone a medicine that's supposed to help with inflammation. It happens a lot when I'm driving. The cars passing by will make me a little bit dizzy and I think I'm dying. It's anything where I feel like I'm trapped that puts me into these like frantic panic attacks because it's just something about being trapped, not being able to leave. So I think it's from the doctor like trapping me there and not being able to leave. Like it's just if I can't leave right when I want to leave, I'm not going to do it at this point, which is not good because I want to live my life. So I've tried a lot of things over the past couple of years, and 2 years ago I couldn't even leave my house at all. So I've come so far where to the point where I'm okay like going out. I love going out, doing my thing, filming with Amanda. I love doing all that. But it's at the point where I want to do more and I don't want to feel uncomfortable anymore when I do everything, or I don't want to feel uncomfortable when we do taste tests thinking that I'm having anaphylactic shock from something. So it's just constantly on edge, and then there's childhood trauma piled on top of that that just has made it's a recipe for disaster. My diagnoses are generalized anxiety, panic disorder, PTSD, ADHD, agoraphobia. Jesus. I was at the point where I've just done so much damage, like maybe even trying to like self-medicate, as Natalie said, and nothing works. So that's why I started going, it got so bad, I started going to a treatment facility where I'm there every single day, all day, trying to get through all of this. So that's what I'm doing right now in the treatment, and they're gonna help with my body, mentally, everything. So it's definitely been really hard. Like, honestly, it's so hard. If you've been in a treatment before, it's like, oh my God, it's exhausting. But anyway, that is my near-death experience. And I will say one interesting fact is that ever since that stem cell experience, where I don't know what the hell I saw, what was happening, but all I know is I woke up and I've been way more sensitive to paranormal stuff. Like, that's when I really got intrigued and stopped being scared of it. And like, I got stopped being scared of it, but at the same time it made me more scared. So, but I just want to say, if you're going through this, hang in there. It's got to get better. And at least we're all here for each other. If you need help, do not be scared to reach out. It's takes a really strong person to ask for help and admit that they're not okay. So you can comment it down in the comment section, or you can reach out to me too. But anyway, there's going to be a song at the end of this video, so wait for that.